Hey, what's up, fellas? How you doing, man? It's Anelli here.
Okay, so here is the statement from Rob Manfred, Commissioner of Major League Baseball. I'm going to read through it. I'm going to skim some of it. I'm going to give my viewpoint. I know you guys can just read this yourselves, but maybe you don't want to. Maybe you just want to listen to me do it instead. I'm also going to give, like I said, my viewpoint on some of the stuff that's in here. Really interesting stuff, and finally being able to find out exactly what happened. So, starts off talking about on November 12, 2019, former Houston Astros player Mike Fiers publicly alleged in an article published by The Athletic that the Astros had engaged in sign stealing methods in 2017 that violated MLB rules. The allegations in the article created significant concern among many of the fans and other MLB clubs regarding the adherence to our rules by those participating in our games and the principles of sportsmanship and fair competition. I have previously stated I treat these allegations with the utmost seriousness, and I instructed our Department of Investigations, DOI, to conduct a thorough investigation. I believe transparency with our fans and our clubs regarding what occurred is extremely important, and this report is my attempt to achieve that objective. At the outset, I also can say our investigation revealed absolutely no evidence that Jim Crane, the owner of the Astros, was aware of any of the conduct described in this report. Crane is extraordinarily troubled and upset by the conduct of the members of his organization, fully supported my investigation, and provided unfettered access to any and all information requested. Okay, so we kind of already knew, I would say, most of that stuff. Did not know about the owner not having any idea what was going on. Okay, so now the investigation was led by a couple of guys who have substantial experience investigating baseball operation matters. The investigation covered the period from 2016 through the present. During the investigation, they interviewed 68 witnesses, 23 current and former Astros players. By the way, I'd be nervous as all hell if I had to go get interviewed about this stuff. Some witnesses were interviewed multiple times. The DOI also reviewed tens of thousands of emails, Slack communications, text messages, video clips, and photographs. The Astros fully cooperated with the investigation, producing all requested electronic communications and making all requested employees available for interviews. Upon request, certain Astros employees provided their cellular telephones to be imaged and searched. I afforded the Astros and their employees the opportunity to submit evidence relevant to the matter and present any arguments to me and my staff. I write now, finally, to explain the findings of the investigation and the basis for my decision to discipline the Astros and certain individuals. Okay, so now let's find out exactly what happened. So rules violations in the 2017 season. This is the season that the Astros won the World Series. At the beginning of the 2017 season, employees in the Astros video replay review room began using the live game feed from the center field camera to attempt to decode and transmit opposing team sign sequences, i.e., which sign flashed by the catcher is the actual sign, for use when the Astros runner was on second base. Okay, so this is what we heard basically the Red Sox doing in 2018. Obviously, Cora was there in Houston in 17, and then the Red Sox basically did the same thing in 18. Once the sign sequence was decoded, a player in the video replay review room would act as a runner to relay the information to the dugout, and a person in the dugout would notify the players in the dugout or signal the sign sequence to the runner on second base, who in turn would decipher the catcher's sign and signal to the batter from second base. Okay, early in the season, Alex Cora, the Astros bench coach, began to call the replay review room on the replay phone to obtain the sign information. Okay, this is where we start to hear about Alex Cora and how he basically pretty much sounds like he was the mastermind behind all of this stuff. And it makes sense, again, that he would take it, some of it, if not most of it, to Boston the following year. On at least some occasions, the employees in the replay review room communicated the sign sequence information by text message, which was received on a smartwatch of a staff member on the bench, or in other cases, on a cell phone stored nearby. Approximately 2 months into the 2017 season, a group of players, including Carlos Beltran, discussed that the team could improve on decoding opposing team signs and communicating the signs to the batter. Cora arranged for a video room technician to install a monitor displaying the center field camera feed immediately outside the Astros dugout. Okay, so this is where the cheating went from cheating to then, well, I guess really cheating. So basically, they were cheating with men on second base only, and they realized after 2 months, hey, nobody's saying anything. Like, this is pretty easy. We've done this. Why not? Let's just go crazy, guys. Like Beltran and Cora. It sounds like Beltran talked about it first. Well, if no one's going to do anything, let's just go all the way. Forget about just kind of cheating, and let's just be the best cheaters pretty much ever in baseball. Okay, so the monitor's right outside the dugout, and the center field camera was primarily used for player development purposes and was allowed under MLB rules at the time when used for that purpose. Witnesses have provided largely consistent accounts of how the monitor was utilized. One or more players watched the live feed of the center field camera on the monitor, and after decoding the sign, a player would bang a nearby trash can with a bat to communicate the upcoming pitch type to the batter. Witnesses explained that they initially experimented with communicating sign information by clapping, whistling, or yelling, but that they eventually determined that banging the trash can was the preferred method of communication. Players occasionally also used a massage gun to bang the trash can. Generally, 1 or 2 bangs corresponded to certain off-speed pitches, while no bang corresponded to fastball. Okay. This is a pretty elaborate plan. I think a lot of us the Athletic Report basically talked about this. It's just amazing that of all the things, all the ways to get the sign to the hitter, the freaking trash can was the preferred method and the best way that they came up with it. That's just funny. Okay, witnesses consistently described this new scheme as player-driven, and with the exception of Cora, non-player staff, including individuals in the video replay review room, had no involvement in the banging scheme. Okay, so it's basically Cora and the players, right? So no Hench, no Lunau. It's Cora and the guys. However, witnesses made clear that everyone proximate to the Astros dugout presumptively heard or saw the banging. How could you not? In addition to players using the monitor installed near the dugout to decode the signs, employees in the Astros replay review room continued to decode sign sequences using the monitors in the room and communicate those sequences to the dugout for use when a runner was on second base. I don't even know why you need that anymore. If we're banging a trash can and we see every single sign, what do we need that for? But I don't know. Both methods of sign stealing were used by the team in parallel throughout the 2017 season. Okay, now in August 2017, the Boston Red Sox were caught transmitting sign information from their replay review room to individuals in the dugout wearing smartwatches. So basically, it sounds like, and we already knew this as well, but everybody, this whole using the video replay room and then signaling the sign seems like it was probably done by pretty much, I'm not going to say all teams, but a lot of teams were doing it, okay? And this is one part where, now with this whole Astros thing, people are still saying like, oh, everybody did it. Everybody stole signs. A lot of people probably did steal signs with the video replay room, okay? But the Astros were the only team that had a camera looking at the pitches and were banging trash cans, okay? At least as of right now. And I don't think anyone else had the you-know-whats to go and do this. So for everyone that's being like, oh, everybody's doing this, everyone was not doing what the Astros ended up doing. Okay, the incident received significant media attention, and I issued a press release on September 15th, 2017, announcing the fine of the Boston Red Sox and a fine of the New York Yankees for improperly using the replay review room that stated irrelevant part. At the outset, it is important to understand that the attempt to decode signs being used by an opposing catcher is not a violation of any Major League Baseball rule or regulation. Major League Baseball regulations do, however, prohibit the use of electronic equipment during games and state that no such equipment may be used for the purpose of stealing signs or conveying information designed to give a club an advantage. So here is, you can steal signs all you want. Everybody steals signs off the catcher. Just can't use electronic information during the games to do it. Despite this clear regulation, the prevalence of technology, especially the technology used in the replay process, has made it increasingly difficult to monitor appropriate and inappropriate uses of electronic equipment. Based on the investigation by my office, I have nonetheless concluded that during the 2017 season, the Boston Red Sox violated the regulation quoted above by sending electronic communications from their video replay room to an athletic trainer in the dugout. And this is going to be interesting also as we go forward, because more and more technology is becoming more and more part of the game. And there's just more and more opportunities for teams to cheat. And so hopefully, I mean, if you don't know yet what happened to the Astros, you're about to find out in a minute, but hopefully these punishments will help to get the cheating out of the game. Because, like I said, as we go forward, there's going to be more and more opportunities to cheat with all this new technology that is coming. That's already here, and more is coming. Okay. Following the issuance of the press release announcing the results of the Red Sox investigation, I issued a memorandum that same day to all clubs reiterating the rules regarding the use of electronic equipment to steal signs and putting all clubs on notice that future violations would be taken extremely seriously by my office. I specifically stated in the memorandum that the general manager and field manager of clubs would be held accountable for any violations of the rules in the future. Thus, all clubs were put on notice as of September 15, 2017, that any use of electronic equipment to steal signs would be dealt with more severely by my office. Notwithstanding the publicity surrounding the Red Sox incident and the September 15th memorandum that I sent to all clubs, the Astros continued to both utilize the replay review room and the monitor located next to the dugout to decode signs for the remainder of the regular season and throughout the postseason. So this part's interesting because people were saying, especially Astros fans, but a lot of people were saying, well, it was just done during the regular season, not during the playoffs. It was done during the playoffs when they won the World Series. So, at first I was like, I was mad when I first heard about this, but I was like, it's just regular season. Like, I was still mad, but I was like, they did it to get in the playoffs. That's a huge advantage, but they didn't do it in the playoffs. Well, they actually did do it throughout the playoffs, which kind of really makes me even more mad. Now, the other interesting part about this is Manfred specifically says that the general manager and the field manager would be held accountable for any violations. And later on here, we're going to hear from Lunau and from AJ Hinch, who both basically said that they had no part in it. Lunau says that he didn't even know, really. Hinch said that he knew, but, and he voiced a little bit of his displeasure, but he didn't really stop it. Right here, that you're the one that's going to take the fall for it. If anything, if your team's caught, it's not the players, it's not anyone, but it's going to be you, the manager, and you, the general manager. Okay, rules violations in subsequent seasons. During the 2017-2018 offseason and following a discussion at the general manager's meetings, the commissioner's office notified clubs that the phone connecting the replay review room and the dugout would be monitored to ensure that it was not used for any purposes other than discussing a challenge on the field of play. So now we've got the phones tapped. This is like a mob movie. In addition, in March 2018, Joe Torre issued a memorandum to all clubs that expanded upon the prohibition against using electronic equipment to steal signs. The memorandum stated in the relevant part. Manfred's got to watch out with these big words here. I can't read some of these words. Major League Baseball Regulation 1-1 prohibits all uninformed personnel, clubhouse staff, and equipment staff from using or possessing telephones or similar electronic devices, including any type of walkie-talkies, mobile phones, smartwatches, Apple Watches, laptop computers, tablets, or other communication devices in or near the dugout, in the bullpens, or on the playing field once batting practice begun. MLB R11 also prohibits the use of such devices in the clubhouse within 30 minutes of the start of the game. The prohibition includes the use of any electronic equipment that has the capability to receive electronic messages by any person occupying the bench or in the bullpen. Electronic equipment, including game feeds in the club replay room and or video room, may never be used during a game for the purposes of stealing the opposing team's signs. In this respect, MLB 1-1 expressly provides that under no circumstance may electronic equipment or devices be used for the purpose of stealing signs or conveying other information designed to give a club a competitive advantage. To be clear, let's say it again, the use of any equipment in the clubhouse or in a club's replay or video rooms to decode an opposing club's signs during the game violates this regulation. How many times does he have to say it? And still people don't listen. Clubs and club employees who are found to have utilized equipment in the replay or video rooms for such purposes during a game will be subject to discipline by the commissioner's office. Okay, we get it. Apparently we don't. Prior to the 2018 season and with MLB approval, the Astros relocated their replay review system to a video room located much closer to the dugout. We got to get it closer, guys. I can't be running that far. As is the case in many ballparks throughout the league, the investigation uncovered no evidence that the Astros players utilized the banging scheme in 2018. However, the Astros replay review room staff continued, at least for the part of the 2018 season, to decode signs using the live center field camera feed and to transmit the signs to the dugout through in-person communication, as did the Red Sox, after all of these warnings from the commissioner's office. At some point during the 2018 season, the Astros stopped using the replay review room to decode signs because the players no longer believed it was effective. I don't know if I believe that. I think it was really effective. Why they stopped, I don't know. Maybe they finally they felt the feds closing in on them. I don't know. The investigation did not reveal any attempt by the Astros to utilize electronic equipment to decode and transmit signs in the 2018 postseason. Thank God. Prior to the 2019 season, the Commissioner's Office issued a revised policy governing sign stealing, which, among other things, included the placement of individuals retained by the Commissioner's Office in the club's replay review rooms to ensure that no rules violations occurred. We put a babysitter, a practice that began in the 2018 postseason. The investigation revealed no violations of the policy by the Astros in the 2019 season or postseason. Okay. Other than described above, the investigation did not reveal any other scheme or method utilized by the Astros to decode an opposing club's signs from 2016 to the present. All right, so let's go down a little bit further here. All right. The Astros' methods in 2017 and 18 to decode and communicate to the batter an opposing club's signs were not an initiative that was planned or directed by the club's top baseball operations officials. Rather, the 2017 scheme in which players banged on a trash can was, with the exception of Cora, leading all this, player-driven and player-executed. The attempt by the Astros replay review room staff to decode signs using the center field camera was originated and executed by lower-level baseball operation employees working in conjunction with Astros players and Cora. The efforts involving the replay review room staff were mentioned in at least 2 emails sent to Lunau, and there is conflicting evidence about conversations with Lunau on the topic. Regardless of the level of Lunau's actual knowledge, the Astros' violation of rules in 17 and 18 is attributable, in my view, to the failure by the leaders of the baseball operations department and the field manager to adequately manage the employees under their supervision to establish a culture in which adherence to the rules is ingrained in the fabric of the organization and to stop bad behavior as soon as it occurred. It almost feels like the culture was, let's freaking cheat and just keep pushing the envelope with cheating, right? We pushed the envelope with analytics and with all this other stuff, and so let's go all the way with cheating. Now, I know that wasn't the case, but it's kind of what it felt like. Okay, Astros players. Let's get into the players now. Most of the position players of the 2017 team either received sign information from the banging scheme or participated in the scheme by helping decode the signs or bang on the trash can. Okay, I'll keep reading, then I'll give you my thoughts. Many of the players who were interviewed admitted that they knew the scheme was wrong because it crossed the line from which the player believed was fair competition or violated MLB rules. Players stated that if manager A.J. Hinch told them to stop engaging in the conduct, they would have immediately stopped. Although the Astros players did not attempt to hide what they were doing from Hinch or other Astros employees, they were concerned about getting caught by players from other teams. Several players told my investigators that there was a sense of panic in the Astros dugout after White Sox pitcher Danny Farquhar appeared to notice the trash can bangs. Before the game ended, a group of Astros players removed the monitor from the wall in the tunnel and hid it in the office. For the postseason, a portable monitor was set up on a table to replace the monitor that had been affixed to the wall near the dugout. Some Astros players told my investigators that they did not believe the sign stealing scheme was effective. Yeah, right. And it was more distracting than useful to hitters. This is a lie. I am neither in a position to evaluate whether the scheme helped Astros hitters, who were unquestionably a very talented group. Yeah, they were a talented group. They were even more talented when they knew the pitches that were coming, nor whether it helped the Astros win any games. There are so many factors that impact the outcome of games that addressing that issue would require rank speculation, but for purposes of my decision, regardless of whether the scheme was effective or not, it violated the rules and, at a minimum, created the appearance of unfairness, and for that, it necessitates severe discipline. Yep, and anyone that says that this doesn't help them is lying, all right? All those people, we talked about this before, anyone that's like, oh yeah, I don't like to know what pitch is coming. I'd rather just see it and hit it. Like, that might work in Little League, but when you're facing 98-mile-an-hour fastballs and 90-mile-an-hour sliders from the best pitchers in the world, I want to know every single pitch that's coming, and so do they. This also is interesting because basically everyone did it, and this puts you in a really tough spot as a player, because are you going to be the one guy that's like, nah, I'm not helping out. I'm not banging on the trash can. I don't want you to bang on the trash can when I'm up. It just makes it tough because everybody's doing it. And I know that's bad reason. Everybody's doing it, but you're winning games. You're in first place. It's working. I just find it hard for one of the guys to be like, no, we're not, I don't want to take part in this. I will not assess discipline against individual Astros players. Now, a lot of people have been saying, this has been one thing I've gotten a lot of today, they should be suspending the players. This is really difficult to do. He gets into it right here, the commissioner does. I made the decision in September 2017 that I would hold a club's general manager and field manager accountable for misconduct of this kind, and I will not depart from that decision. Assessing discipline of players for this type of conduct is both difficult and impractical. It is difficult because virtually all of the Astros players had some involvement or knowledge of the scheme, and I'm not in the position, based on the investigative record, to determine with any degree of certainty every player who should be held accountable for their relative degree of culpability. It is impractical given the large number of players involved and the fact that many of those players now play for other clubs. So I agree. I think it's too tough to figure out exactly who was doing it, who wasn't doing it, who was doing it more than other players. And then now you're punishing all these other teams that signed these players not knowing that they had cheated, right? So I just think there's just too many guys to be able to start passing out stuff to the players. And like I said before, there could be some players that didn't want to do it but felt like, hey, I can't speak up. Hey, my manager isn't saying anything. If I speak up, am I basically saying that I'm not trying to win games here? I just think it's really tough. But more importantly, the club's general manager and field manager are responsible for ensuring that the players both understand the rules and adhere to them. Our office issues a substantial number of detailed rules and procedures to clubs, many of which, including sign-stealing rules, are not sent directly to players. It is the obligation of the club, and in this case, the general manager and field manager, to educate and instruct their players on the rules governing play on the field. Here, because the club's bench coach, Alex Cora, was an active participant in the scheme, and the club's manager was aware of the scheme and did nothing to stop it, I recognize that some players may have understood that their conduct was not only condoned by the club, but encouraged by it, right? So this is the tough part. My manager wants me to do it. I'm not going to not do it. This was misconduct committed by the team, and with the exception of the individuals whom I will hold personally accountable, my disciplinary action will be directed at the team. So now we get into Luhnow, and then we get into Hinch. Okay, Luhnow adamantly denies knowledge of both the banging scheme and the efforts by the replay review room staff to decode signs and transmit them to the dugout. The investigation revealed no evidence to suggest that Luhnow was aware of the banging scheme. The investigation also revealed that Luhnow neither devised nor actively directed the efforts of the replay review room staff to decode signs in 17 or 18. Although Luhnow denies having any awareness that his replay review room staff was decoding and transmitting signs, there is both documentary and testimonial evidence that indicates Lunau had some knowledge of those efforts, but he did not give it much attention. So, it's almost like he kind of knew what was going on, but he was like, oh, well, I'm going to kind of play dumb a little bit and not do anything. And so I can say I didn't know what was really going on. But, they had a couple emails basically saying that he did know what was going on. He just didn't do anything about it. Irrespective of Lunau's knowledge of his club's violation of the rules, I will hold him personally accountable for the conduct of his club. It is the job of the general manager to be aware of the activities of his staff and players and to ensure that those activities comport with both standards of conduct set by club ownership and MLB rules. Despite his knowledge of the Red Sox incident in September 2017 and receipt of both my September 15, 2017 memorandum and Joe Torre's March 2018 memorandum, Lunau failed to take any adequate steps to ensure that his club was in compliance with the rules. Lunau did not forward the memoranda and did not confirm that the players and field staff were in compliance with MLB rules and the memoranda. Had Lunau taken these steps in September 2017, it is clear to me that the Astros would have seized both sign-stealing schemes at the time, without a doubt. So, in my experience, and I've never experienced anything like this, but anytime something comes down to the manager of a team or, the GM or whoever, there's been plenty of times in the clubhouse where we've had a quick meeting and our manager said, hey guys, I've got this from, whoever. And here's the rule. And here's what's going to happen. And I've had those meetings before. Now, nothing to do with stealing signs. I've never personally had that stuff. But there's been other stuff that, they'll talk about. Every year with betting in baseball, our manager always talks about there's no betting on baseball, right? They tell you every year. And there's been other stuff that they get where they'll sit you down, quick meeting, hey guys, here's the deal, blah, blah, blah. So this clearly never happened. And there was a lot, as we see, the commissioner's office sent 47,000 warnings about it. Finally, I will make some general observations regarding the Astros baseball operations department that were gleaned from my 68 interviews with my investigators conducted in addition to the 9 interviews conducted regarding a separate investigation into former assistant general manager Taubman's conduct during a clubhouse celebration. Like many clubs with very experienced individuals running their baseball operations department, Astros owner Jim Crane and his senior executive team spent their energies focused on running the business side of the club while delegating control and discretion on the baseball side to Lunau. It is difficult to question that division of responsibilities in light of the fact that Lunau is widely considered to be one of the most successful baseball executives of his generation, credited with ushering in the second analytics revolution in baseball and rebuilding the Houston Astros into a perennial postseason contender. But while no one can dispute that Lunau's baseball operations department is an industry leader in its analytics, it is very clear to me that the culture of the baseball operations department, manifesting itself in the way its employees are treated, its relations with other clubs, and its relations with the media and external stakeholders has been very problematic. Geez, basically saying you guys are a bunch of a-holes. At least in my view, the baseball operations department's insular culture, one that valued and rewarded results over other considerations, combined with a staff of individuals who often lacked direction or sufficient oversight, led, at least in part, to Brandon Taubman's incident. The club's admittedly inappropriate and inaccurate response to that incident, and finally to an environment that allowed the conduct described in this report to have occurred. The comments in this paragraph relate only to the baseball operations department. This aspect of our investigation did not extend to the business side of the club that functioned independently of the baseball operations. Okay, basically the Astros are a bunch of a-holes. That's what it sounds like. A.J. Hinch. All right, now we get to A.J. Hinch neither devised the banging scheme nor participated in it. I don't know if I could see a major league manager sitting down there with a bat smashing on a trash can. I don't think I've seen that one before. Hinch told my investigators that he did not support his players decoding signs using the monitor installed near the dugout and banging the trash can, and he believed that the conduct was both wrong and distracting. Well, it wasn't distracting. It was wrong, though. Hinch attempted to signal his disapproval, Matt, of the scheme by physically damaging the monitor on 2 occasions, necessitating its replacement. However, Hinch admits he did not stop it, and he did not notify players or Cora that he disapproved of it, even after the Red Sox were disciplined in September 2017. Maybe he just said, listen, this is really helping us win ball games here. I'm going to smash this thing a couple times just so I can say that I broke it. But honestly, this would have been really easy if you wanted to stop. You just call a meeting and you say, hey, guys, knock that you-know-what off. If I see one more guy banging on a trash can, stealing signs, anything, you're done. We'll cut you. We'll release you. Similarly, he knew of and did not stop the communication of signed information from the replay review room, although he disagreed with this practice as well, and specifically voiced his concerns on at least one occasion about the use of the replay phone for this purpose. And with this one, I think most teams knew everyone was doing this, and I think this is probably one that they were like, all right, this is technically cheating, but everyone's doing it, and I'm not going to say anything. But the trash can one had to be stopped. As the person with responsibility for managing his players and coaches, there's simply no justification for Hinch's failure to act. If Hinch was unsure of how to handle the situation, it was his responsibility to bring the issue to the attention of Lunau. Hinch expressed much contrition, both to me and my investigators, for allowing the conduct to continue. Although I appreciate Hinch's remorsefulness, I must hold him accountable for the conduct of his team, particularly since he had full knowledge of the conduct and chose to allow it to continue throughout the 2017 postseason. I agree. Alex Cora. Cora was involved in developing both the banging scheme. So, oh boy. Cora's in trouble, by the way. Cora's getting suspended for a long time. He might go down for a year or two. Okay, so he developed the banging scheme and utilizing the replay review room to decode and transmit signs. Cora participated in both schemes and through his active participation implicitly condoned the player's conduct. I will withhold determining the appropriate level of discipline for Cora until after the DOI completes its investigation of the allegation that the Red Sox engaged in impermissible electronic sign stealing in 2018 while Cora was manager. Cora's going down. Okay. This doesn't have to do with this, so we're going to skip that one. And then to Jim Crane. I guess we'll talk about this real quick. He was unaware of any of the violations of MLB rules by his club. In fact, Crane told Lunau after the Red Sox discipline announced that Lunau should make sure that the Astros did not engage in similar conduct. Some lower-level Astros employees were aware of the rules violations or participated in the violations at the direction of others. I will defer to the Astros whether the conduct of these more junior employees merits discipline or remedial action. All right, and here's the discipline. I talked about this earlier in my earlier video. I find that the conduct of the Astros and its senior baseball operations executive merits significant discipline. I base this finding on the fact that the club's senior baseball operations executives were given express notice in 2017 that I would hold them accountable for violations of our policies covering sign stealing, and those individuals took no action to ensure that the club's players and staff complied with those policies during the 2017 postseason and 18 regular season. The conduct described herein has caused fans, players, executives at other MLB clubs, and members of the media to raise questions about the integrity of the game in which the Astros participated. And while it is impossible to determine whether the conduct actually impacted the results on the field, the perception of some that it did causes significant harm to the game. All right, so Astros team discipline. So they forfeited their first and second round selections in 20 and 21. To the extent that the club does not have a regular first or second round selection in either of those years, by operation of the basic agreement or major league rules, the club shall forfeit the applicable selection in the next first-year player draft in which it possesses such selection. For the purpose of clarity, the club will forfeit 2 regular first-round selections and 2 regular second-round selections in total. The forfeited draft selections will be removed from the selection order, and all other selections will move up. The club will pay $5 million, which is the highest allowable fine under Major League Constitution. How much do you think it would have been if there was no cap on it? A lot of people are like, $5 million, that's nothing. They couldn't fine him any more than that. Individual discipline. Jeff Lunau shall be suspended without pay for the period beginning on January 13th, 2020 and ending on the day following the completion of the World Series. And he can't be around any of this stuff. Well, he's been fired anyway, so that happened about 20 minutes after this came out, that he was fired by the Astros. And then AJ Hinch will be suspended without pay, same thing, for a year, but he has also been fired by the club, so no worries about any of that stuff. And then Brandon Taubman, we don't really care about any of that stuff. It doesn't have to do with this. And that's it, January 13th, 2020. Robert D. Manfred Jr., Commissioner of Baseball. So, there it is. I talked about my other video that I think that the suspension of both GM and manager for a year was enough, or was it too much? I think it's fine. Right? A lot of people are screaming that they should be banned from baseball for life. I don't agree that they should be never allowed. Now, they're both fired. So now I'm interested. How long will it take for them to get rehired by somebody, right? They're gone for a year. And, how many years? Put down below. How many years until AJ Hinch gets another manager's position? Does he ever get one again? If he does, how many years is he out of baseball for? I think he's going to get another job. I think it's going to be, how many years will I say? I'm going to give it 5 years. I'm going to say he gets suspended for a year, maybe steps away for a little bit after that, and then let the whole thing, because I think he's a good manager. I think he's a good baseball guy, and I'm sure a lot of teams would like to have him, but I don't think anyone's going to take him right away after all this went down. So anyways, that's what we got. Let me know your thoughts down below in the comment section. Thanks for hanging out and reading that whole thing with me. Took a lot longer to read than I thought, but I'm not the best reader in the world. So anyways, thanks again. We'll talk to you later.